Hello, this is Samir Ruse here, and in this video, I will show you auto payable invoices on receipt. In Oracle EBS, you can automatically generate payable invoices from a material receipt. You have entered for a purchase order, which is also called self billing. That is automatic billing from material receipt. This this increase your productivity as you do not have to enter an invoice manually and you do not have to match them to a purchase order. So let us see how to set up for a pay on receipt functionality, and we will carry out a transactional flow for the same. Let us see the first step is to set up the supplier side for uh, pay on receipt. Let's let's go to the supplier. For that for that navigation is purchasing responsibility, supplier base, and supplier. So navigation is purchasing responsibility. In purchasing responsibility, supply base, and then supplier. So uh, set the supplier. We get a uh, existing supplier. So in our case, we go to about laboratories. Here we find it, and then our operating unit is vision operation. So in that pay on, we can select as a receipt and invoice summary level. In that also we can select as a receipt, and then go to the purchasing tab, self billing, and here also select pay on receipt and invoice summary level is receipt, and then save it. So we finish our first step, as a set the supplier. Next, the next step is to ensure that the user which you have to log in is a buyer, so that you can enter a purchase order, and you also have to set up a PO approval so that the buyer can approve the PO, and from approved PO you can enter a material receipt. So see the person who is logged is a buyer or not. To see the existing user is a buyer or not, you first go to the system administrator responsibility. Then security, then user, then define. Then find the user. In our case, our user is operation. Then click select it. And here is person is already attached, and the person name is stock misstat. So we can note down this name to search it. She is a buyer or not, and to ensure that the person is buyer or not, so we can go to purchasing responsibility. We go into purchasing responsibility. In purchasing responsibility, go to setup, personal, and then go to buyer. and query the person and find it. So stock pet is already existing buyer. So we do not create a buyer. So if stock pet is not a buyer, then we can create here. So here option will be add buyer. So save it. So next step is set up the receiving processing, that is a receipt processing when you enter a material receipt. So for that, go to system administrator profile and system option. Let's see the practically. Switch the responsibility system administrator. Then go to the profile option, then system, uncheck the side option, check the responsibility option, and find the responsibility of purchasing. Uncheck the profile with no values and find the profile which is RCV processing mode. Here RCV processing mode. Then click a find button, and here from the LOV we select the batch. In that LOV there is two option, batch option and immediate option. In some instances immediate option will not work or give the error. So here we can select as a batch option. So keep it as a batch. When this option is batch, the processing of material receipt has to be done in a batch manner. That means you have to run request to the process batch. Then save it and close it. So setup part is finished. So we have done a setup part. Let's see how we can do the transaction for a pay on receipt invoice. So first step is create a purchase order. For purchase order, go to the purchasing responsibility, go to the purchase order and enter the purchase order. So do it. Let's see the practically. Switch to purchasing responsibility, then purchase order, and then purchase order. So in a supplier text box, here we select we have to set up a pay on receipt. In our case, it is the Abbott Laboratories. Ship to location is New York City. In line item, select a product item. Then quantity, then write a price, then give the promise date, give the nearby date also nearby date. In shipment, we choose the organizations. All fields, mandatory fields are there. then save it. Then save it. After saving, note down the PO number. It is a 6682. After saving, we can go approve it. So click the approve button. Here status is incomplete. So first we need to first approve it and click the submit for approval. Then click OK. After that, status is approved. So close it. Then make a material receipt against this PO. So we have to create a purchase order. We have approved the purchase order. Now we will create a material receipt. For material receipt, going to is navigation is processing responsibility for receiving in that receipt. So let's do it practically. So purchasing responsibility in that receipt, then select a organization. In our case, vision of organization, vision operation. Then paste the purchase order and click find. So here is the receipt header. In that supplier is about laboratories received by stockpad. So go to the lines, check the line item and give the full quantity of purchase order. In our case, it is a 1, and give the sub inventory at, at the store. Again, go into header and save it. After saving, note down the receipt number. Receipt number is 9119. Receipt number is 9119. So after creating the receipt, next step is run a request receiving transaction processor. For that, we go to purchasing responsibility, report and run. So let's do it practically. So purchasing responsibility, in purchasing responsibility, report, run, then take a single request, then OK. In run this request, find the name of request. So receiving transaction preprocessor, click OK. Then ask as a give the parameter. It is the operating unit. In our case, our operating unit is vision operation. Then click OK and then submit the request. To view the request, click view, then request, then find the request. So here receiving transaction processor request is completed. After that, it will be initiate ADS pay on receipt auto invoice. So we completed the purchase order. We approve it. We enter the material receipt. We have to run the receiving uh, processor request, that is receiving transaction processor, and wait until the request is completed normal. This request receiving transaction processor would run a request pay on receipt auto invoice, which will populate the interface table of the invoice in payables. In a turn, it will also run a payable open interface import, which will import the record from interface table, and that will create on invoice in payables. So we are currently in last stage. Once it completely normal, then we will view the output, see the report. No, and it is a, and here the invoice number is ERS 9119230885. Note down this invoice number. Open the invoice window in a payables. So for that going to switch the responsibility as a payables. In payables, invoice, entry, and invoices. So press F11 for the query mode and type here ERS. ERS is a prefix. You can prefix with ERS. Is a evaluated receipt statement, and this is an invoice automatically generated from the material receipt, which was created for a purchase order. Then so here is our invoice, which will be uh, automatically generated. Here is the line item. Invoice number 91119 is the receipt number, and here the total amount taken calculated by the quantity and price giving the purchase order and the receipt. In the result, we view the auto generated invoice, which we have actually viewed. If you want, if we want to check the result in a backend, so we need to join some tables. The tables are PO header solve, which contains the header information for purchasing document. PO line solve, which stores the current information about each purchase order line. You need to one row each line you attach to a document. PO distribution all contains the accounting distribution information for purchase order shipment, and this table belongs to the purchase order. So and material receipt, we need to two tables. This is RCV shipment header. Store the common information about the source of receipt or expected receipt. Uh, RCV shipment lines store the information about the item that have been shipped or received from the specific receipt. And two table of invoices. So AP invoice all contain the records for invoice you enter. This is a one row for each we enter the invoice. And AP invoice distribution all hold the distribution information that manually entered or system generated. This is there is a one row for each invoice distribution. In our case, this is a system generated. So we need to join them. So we we need to join all the tables as from their primary key and foreign key concept. So in AP invoice all, invoice ID and AP invoice distribution all, the invoice ID are the same, and also distribution table PO distribution ID, and in purchase order distribution all table distribution ID is the same. In purchase order PO distribution all table PO line ID and PO lines all in PO IDs are the same. In PO lines all table PO header ID and PO header all table PO header ID are same, and same as a receipt table. So RCV shipments all PO header ID and PO headers all PO header ID same, and RCV shipments shipment header ID and RCV shipment lines shipment header ID are the same, and RCV shipment lines PO distribution ID and PO distribution all PO distribution ID are the same. And here in the segment one, the purchase order number will be stored, so we can query it. And find the value. Here our PO number is 6682, receipt number is 19119, and invoice number also same. So the source of ERS, that is evaluated receipt statement. Uh, Invoice type is standard and description is receipt invoice automatically generated, and invoice amount is 108. So this, we can also view the output from backend. So this is the query. In the result, we view the auto generated invoice which we have actually already viewed. So thank you, and I hope this video will be useful for you.